if the woman you can't stop thinking about isn't who you believe she is? What if that spark, that rush, that once-in-a-lifetime chemistry you feel is nothing more than a performance she's perfected on dozens of men before you? That thought hurts, doesn't it? Because every man fears the same thing, giving his heart, his money, his time, his future to the wrong woman, wasting years on someone who knows how to make you feel chosen, but who never actually intends to choose you, falling for passion that feels rare, when in reality, it's just routine for her. Here's the brutal truth. Most men never see it coming. They mistake practiced charm for destiny. They confuse repetition for romance. They convince themselves they've found something special, when all they've found is another woman running the same script she's always used. And by the time the mask slips, it's too late. The damage is done. But not for you. Because in this video, I'm going to show you the hidden signals most men never recognize. The subtle signs that reveal when her history makes deep connection almost impossible. These signs aren't loud, but once you know how to spot them, they'll change the way you see every interaction. So pay attention, because by the end of this video, you'll never confuse polished performance with true passion again. You meet her, and it feels like the universe just aligned in your favor. She doesn't just catch your eye, she captures the entire room. Men orbit her like moths drawn to a flame, but she handles it with a calm, practiced grace. She doesn't chase attention, yet somehow she always has it. And when she finally turns her focus on you, it's intoxicating. In minutes, she makes you believe you're different. She laughs at your jokes, asks the right questions, touches your arm just enough to feel electric. For a moment, it feels like you've found something rare. But deep down, there's a question clawing at your gut. How is she so good at this? How is she able to glide through intimacy like it's second nature? You want to believe it's chemistry, that you're the exception, that fate finally rewarded you. But what if what you're really seeing isn't natural at all? What if it's the result of repetition? Rehearsed moves polished through countless encounters before you ever showed up? That's the danger most men never recognize until it's too late. They confuse smoothness for confidence. They mistake practiced intimacy for genuine connection. They fall headfirst into something that feels special, not realizing it's a performance she's given to other men again and again. And once you've invested your time, your money, and your heart, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself. The truth is, healthy women don't rush into deep intimacy. They don't open up their bodies and emotions without time, trust, and natural progression. That hesitation isn't weakness, it's protection. It's the natural caution of someone who values what she has to give. But when a woman slides past those boundaries too quickly, when she makes intimacy feel casual and effortless, from the start, it often isn't confidence, it's erosion. Her guard isn't gone because you're special. It's gone because it's been worn down. Think about it. Real trust takes time. Real comfort takes patience. But when everything accelerates unnaturally fast, when private stories come pouring out on the first night, when physical lines dissolve without tension, when vulnerability feels rehearsed instead of raw, that isn't magic. That's routine. And routine intimacy doesn't build bonds. It breaks them. Because what should feel sacred has been repeated so often, it's become mechanical. And here's the trap. That false chemistry feels even stronger than the real thing. It feels intoxicating because it tricks your brain. The timing, the body language, the eye contact, it all hits like destiny. But you're not experiencing something unique. you're experiencing muscle memory. She's done this before. She knows exactly how to adjust her tone, when to laugh, when to lean in, and how to make you feel like you're the only man who ever got it. The performance is flawless, and that's the problem. It's a performance. Now, let me show you the other extreme. Because not every woman with a long history is reckless with her intimacy. Some go the opposite direction. Instead of being too open, they build walls so high you'll never climb them. On the surface, she's engaging. She'll charm you with stories, keep you entertained, and give you just enough to stay hooked. But when it comes to the parts of herself that actually matter, the fears, the pain, the vulnerable truths, you'll never touch them. She gives you a guided tour of her surface while every important door stays locked. Ask about her past, and she redirects. Ask about her dreams, and she jokes. Ask about her fears, and she flips the spotlight back onto you. It feels like you're in a relationship, but in reality, you're trapped in a performance. You keep investing, hoping that with time, she'll finally let you in. But she won't, because those walls weren't built by accident. They were built from years of heartbreak, disappointment, and emotional collapse. Each layer of pain added another layer of armor until vulnerability became impossible. So whether it's reckless openness or impenetrable barriers, the outcome is the same. Real connection never happens. Either you're swept into false chemistry that burns out fast, or you're locked out completely while pouring yourself into someone who will never reciprocate. Both cost you the same thing: your energy, your time, and your future. It doesn't stop there. Because women with long, chaotic histories often build networks, armies of men orbiting them for attention and validation. Look closely, and you'll see it. Exes who never disappear. Friends who would be more than friends in a heartbeat. Male acquaintances from every chapter of her life, always lingering, always ready to step in if the current situation doesn't satisfy her. This isn't harmless. This is a safety net. It's backup options disguised as friendships. And if you're with her, you're not her only priority. You're just part of the rotation. This is why you'll always feel like you're competing for her attention. Because you are. Every text she answers, every DM she entertains, every old friend who still calls late at night. That's her ecosystem. It isn't built for loyalty. It's built for options. And if you ever try to confront her about it, you'll notice something interesting. She won't admit the truth. She'll flip it back on you. She'll say you're insecure. She'll tell you not to be controlling. But watch her closely. Defensiveness is always a sign that priorities are being protected. And here's where it gets even more manipulative. Intimacy, the one thing that should never be weaponized, often becomes her bargaining chip. Pay attention to the timing. When she wants something, intimacy increases. When she's unhappy or when conflict arises, intimacy disappears. It's not about desire, it's about control. Love turns into a business transaction. Affection becomes a currency. And you're forced to earn what should be freely given. At first, you won't notice. You'll tell yourself it's just stress, or that she needs time. But the pattern always repeats. Connection becomes conditional. Affection becomes strategic. And you start walking on eggshells, constantly adjusting your behavior to keep the intimacy flowing. Instead of feeling loved for who you are, you feel trapped in a system where your worth is measured by how well you perform. And let's be clear, this isn't love. This is manipulation dressed up as romance. It's a game designed to keep you anxious, invested, and under control. And the longer you play, the more you lose. That's why recognizing these early signs is so critical. because what feels intoxicating at the start often ends in devastation. And if you don't know the difference between genuine connection and rehearsed performance, you're setting yourself up to be used. In the next part, I'll show you exactly how these patterns go even deeper, how some women develop almost scientific precision in pulling men's emotional strings. They don't just know how to attract you, they know how to keep you hooked, how to trigger your instincts, and how to make you believe passion exists where only manipulation lives. When a woman has lived through too many relationships, she often loses the natural discretion that makes intimacy sacred. What should be private becomes casual. She'll talk about old boyfriends the way someone else might talk about last weekend's brunch. She'll share bedroom details like they're nothing more than funny anecdotes. And at first, you might laugh along. You might even convince yourself she's just open and honest. But then the discomfort hits. Something about it feels wrong. Healthy women protect their private moments. They understand that intimacy only has meaning when it's guarded. But when every boundary has already been crossed with multiple men, that instinct erodes. And if you bring it up, she won't see your concern as valid. Instead, she'll call it insecurity. She'll flip the script until you're the problem, not her carelessness. What you don't realize is that this pattern guarantees one thing. If she treats her past like public entertainment, your private moments will eventually become the same. Nothing is sacred. Nothing is safe. And her relationship history tells another story. You'll notice it if you listen carefully. Every relationship she describes follows the same arc. Instant chemistry, a rapid-fire beginning, intense passion that burns hot and fast. And then, without fail, it collapses just as quickly. She'll blame the men. She'll blame timing. She'll blame circumstances. But the pattern never changes. Because what she's addicted to isn't love. It's novelty. It's the thrill of the chase, the dopamine rush of someone new chasing her. That's what excites her, not the slow, steady bond that real love demands. This is why she's untested in the parts of love that actually matter. She knows how to start things. She knows how to ignite passion. But she doesn't know how to endure the boring days, how to stay attracted when routine sets in, or how to build intimacy when conflict arises. She avoids accountability by pointing fingers outward, never looking inward. And without that self-reflection, nothing ever changes. To you, the early stage feels magical. It feels different. But to her, it's just another round in the same cycle. Look even closer, and you'll see how modern tools amplify these patterns. Social media becomes her stage. Every photo is calculated to draw attention. Every post is designed to provoke comments. She knows how to dangle intrigue in a story, how to post just enough to keep dozens of men engaged. You think you're her partner, but in reality, you're just one competitor in a never-ending digital competition. Her self-worth is tied to likes, shares, and constant attention. She can't go a week without it. She craves validation not from one man, but from a crowd. And here's where it becomes dangerous. Because once a woman becomes dependent on external validation, no single man can ever be enough. You'll feel her restlessness. You'll sense her dissatisfaction, even when you give her everything. And it will never make sense until you realize this. She isn't feeding on love. She's feeding on attention. And attention has no loyalty. It never lasts. The damage goes deeper. Years of failed connections create protective mechanisms that limit her capacity to bond at all. Think of it like a muscle. When used properly, it grows stronger. But when abused, it atrophies. Every short-term relationship weakens her ability to form real trust. Eventually, she mistakes emotional chaos for depth. She confuses volatility for passion, and when you try to create something stable, you'll find yourself hitting an invisible wall. No matter how much you give, she can't meet you there, not because of you, but because of the damage she carries. And yet, she'll disguise this inability as independence. She'll say she's just selective, that she hasn't found the right man, that her standards are high. On the surface, it sounds admirable, but look closer and you'll see what's really happening. Those standards are moving goalposts, designed so no one ever truly qualifies. It isn't that men aren't enough, it's that commitment terrifies her. Vulnerability feels like danger, so she dresses avoidance up as empowerment. For you, it feels like an endless audition. You do everything right, yet somehow you're never enough. Every effort is met with another condition, another reason why the relationship can't deepen. And the truth is, it never will. Because the role you're trying out for doesn't even exist. This is the brutal reality. Many women know how to dazzle at the beginning, but very few have built the skills required for long-term partnership. Skills like compromise, patience, conflict resolution. Skills like keeping intimacy alive through routine, not just passion. Skills like growing together through storms instead of running at the first sign of discomfort. Without those, no relationship lasts. And here's what you need to remember. The patterns you ignore in the beginning will become the problems that destroy you later. If she treats intimacy casually now, she'll treat your moments casually later. If she's addicted to novelty now, she'll crave it again when things get comfortable. If she relies on attention from the crowd now, she'll keep chasing it even when you're giving her everything. The signs are always there. Most men just don't want to see them. They fall for the thrill. They silence their instincts, and they tell themselves this time is different. But it never is. History repeats itself, and unless you learn how to recognize these patterns, you risk becoming just another chapter in her endless cycle of beginnings and breakups. That's why what you do now matters, because once you've invested years of your life, it's almost impossible to walk away. But if you recognize the signs early, you can protect yourself. You can save your time, your energy, and your future for someone capable of real connection. If this is resonating with you, don't look away. Keep watching, because the next signs are even harder to spot, and they're the ones that cost men the most. When the excitement of the beginning fades, the cracks become impossible to ignore. A woman who thrives only in short bursts of passion often struggles when real life sets in. She can start a fire, but she can't keep it burning. That's why so many men feel the same frustration. You think you've found someone special, but months later you're exhausted, confused, and questioning your own worth. The problem isn't you. The problem is that she never learned the skills that make love last. Conflict feels like a threat, not a challenge to overcome. Routine feels like boredom, not comfort. Compromise feels like losing, not teamwork. She hasn't practiced the art of building a partnership. Instead, she repeats the cycle she knows best. Attraction, escalation, collapse, escape. And if you don't see it for what it is, you'll get trapped inside the same loop. Even intimacy, which should be the most natural expression of connection, often becomes transactional. Pay close attention, and you'll notice the rhythm isn't driven by desire. It's driven by control. Intimacy flows when she wants something from you. It disappears the moment tension arises. It returns only when it smooths conflict or rewards your compliance. What should feel spontaneous and passionate now feels scheduled, like part of a maintenance routine. And that routine isn't about love. It's about leverage. You feel it. You sense it. Something about the timing feels off. Instead of being wanted for who you are, you're being managed. Affection is no longer a gift. It's a tool. And soon you realize you're living in a system where your access to love depends on how well you perform. That anxiety creeps in slowly. You find yourself measuring every word, every move, just to avoid intimacy being withdrawn again. But it doesn't stop with physical closeness. Emotional labor becomes one-sided too. You're the one holding the weight of the relationship. You're the one smoothing conflicts, initiating solutions, and carrying her moods on your back. She expects you to understand her without ever making the same effort for you. She demands tolerance for her volatility, but offers little stability in return. Over time, the imbalance drains you. What should be a partnership starts to feel like a job, one where you're constantly working and never being paid back. And then there's the financial side. Many men ignore this at first because it comes disguised as innocence. She hints about money troubles or casually mentions expensive experiences she'd like to try. At first, it's small. A favor here, a little help there. But over time, it escalates. Rent problems appear right when you're most emotionally attached. Car issues arise when walking away would be hardest. Luxury desires show up at the peak of intimacy. The timing is too perfect to be coincidence. It's a test, a way of measuring how much she can extract without giving equal commitment in return. If you ever refuse, watch her reaction. Does she turn cold? Does she sulk? Does she punish you with distance? That tells you everything. Because genuine sharing isn't manipulative, but strategic sharing always is. And if her lifestyle doesn't match her claimed hardship, if she cries broke while buying luxuries, you're not her partner. You're her provider. Beyond money, look at her daily life. Does she function independently, or does she rely on men to carry her through? Many women present themselves as strong, but when you examine closely, independence is just an illusion. Her social calendar is filled with men who give her rides, fix her problems, entertain her, and validate her constantly. You're not her only support system. You're part of a rotation. And when you're not available, another man fills your spot. That's the trap. You think you're exclusive when in reality you're replaceable. Because her life is designed around male energy, male attention, male validation. Without it, she crumbles. She seems confident, but watch what happens when the supply dries up. Emotional instability, sudden crises, and dramatic shifts reveal the truth. She depends on men not just for support, but for her very sense of self. And here's what you must understand. None of these patterns exist by accident. They're not random quirks. They're strategies, refined over years of practice, designed to maximize what she gets while minimizing what she gives. And unless you recognize them, you'll waste years believing you're building something real, when all you're doing is feeding a system that drains you. The cost isn't just money. It isn't just energy. It's your peace of mind. Because living inside a relationship like this means constant insecurity. You never feel safe. You never feel chosen. You never feel valued for who you are. And the longer it goes on, the more you forget what real connection is supposed to feel like. But here's the good news. Once you see these signs, you can't unsee them. You begin to recognize the difference between genuine affection and calculated performance. You understand the difference between independence and disguised dependence. And most importantly, you learn how to protect yourself before it's too late. This is why awareness is everything. Because you can't change her patterns, but you can change your response. You can walk away early instead of being dragged down years later. You can save your energy for someone who knows how to give, not just take. If this is hitting close to home, keep listening, because the next patterns are even more dangerous. They're not about money or attention. They're about something deeper. The way she rewrites her past, manipulates her story, and manufactures drama to keep you trapped. And once you see that side, you'll understand why so many men never escape until it's too late. A woman with years of experience doesn't just refine her behavior in the present. She also rewrites her past. Listen closely to how she tells her stories. The details that make her look careless or disloyal mysteriously vanish, while the parts that paint her as the victim take center stage. Every ex becomes the villain. Every failure is explained away as bad luck. To the untrained ear, it sounds convincing. To a man who wants to believe, it feels comforting. But what you're hearing isn't honesty, it's narrative control. And this control is deliberate. She doesn't unload everything at once. She reveals fragments only after you've invested emotionally, when walking away feels expensive. She spaces out the details so the bigger picture stays hidden until you're already hooked. If you pay attention, you'll notice inconsistencies, timelines that blur, explanations that shift. That's not memory failing. That's management. Sometimes she even arms herself with rehearsed answers, using psychological buzzwords to make your questions sound cruel. When challenged, she deflects with charm or defensiveness, always protecting the image she needs you to see. But story control is just the beginning. When your attention drifts, another tactic appears: crisis creation. Out of nowhere, chaos erupts. A meltdown right when you're focused on work. An emergency the moment you pull back. Conflicts exploding during peaceful moments. These aren't coincidences. They're manufactured storms meant to pull you back under control. The pattern is always the same. She creates the fire, you rush to put it out, and she rewards you with gratitude and intimacy. But soon, another blaze starts, and another, until you realize your role isn't lover, it's firefighter. The tragedy is you begin to confuse that chaos for passion. Healthy love doesn't require constant drama. It doesn't trap you in endless emergencies. But when attention equals survival, storms become her way of feeling secure. Unless you see through it, you'll spend years drowning in someone else's chaos. Then comes normalization. Ask about her past, and she frames it as typical. She insists everyone does the same. She calls you insecure or old-fashioned for questioning it. She hides behind slogans about freedom and modern dating, not to be open, but to shut you down. And little by little, you doubt yourself. You start thinking maybe you're overreacting. Maybe your standards are the problem. That's how men lose themselves. Because the moment you accept the unacceptable, you give away your power. Watch closely. Encounters become meaningless. Red flags are brushed off as no big deal. Intimacy reduced to just what people do. But deep down, you know not everyone lives that way. Not everyone treats intimacy like a game. The problem isn't your discomfort, it's her deflection. And when competition appears, territorial control rises. She undermines other women with subtle jabs. She makes your female co-workers or friends feel unwelcome. She criticizes anyone who might offer you a different perspective. It looks like jealousy, but it's really about control. By cutting off outside voices, she ensures her reality is the only one you hear. Look at the pattern. Curated stories, manufactured chaos, normalized red flags, territorial control, all designed to keep you invested, distracted, and dependent. Stay long enough and you'll forget what healthy love feels like. You'll confuse chaos with connection. You'll accept disrespect as normal. And one day, you'll wake up realizing you gave everything to someone who never intended to build anything real with you. But here's the good news. It doesn't have to be that way. The moment you see these signs, the illusion shatters. You learn to protect your time, your energy, your money, and most importantly, your heart. Quit. You stop making excuses, you start trusting your instincts, and everything changes. Because you don't need to fix her. You don't need to wait for her to change. You simply need to recognize the pattern and walk away. Guard your standards. Trust your instincts. Protect your love like the priceless investment it is. Don't waste years hoping chaos will turn into connection. It won't. Don't convince yourself that repetition is passion. It isn't. Choose women who value depth, loyalty, and growth. The wrong woman will drain you dry. The right one will multiply everything you give. And now ask yourself, how many men do you know who are blind to this? How many brothers, friends, or co-workers are walking straight into the same trap? Don't let them. Share this. Protect them. Give them the chance to see what you see. If you want to sharpen your instincts even further, hit subscribe right now. Because this is just the beginning. The next lessons will expose even more hidden patterns, truths no one else will tell you, that could save you years of your life. Remember this, real love doesn't drain you. Real love builds you. Protect yourself. Choose wisely. And never again confuse chaos for connection.